to trailer tales and stuff. I'm Simon. This is part 2 of our video series detailing the rebuild on our Golf car. We've been through the teardown, and in this video we're taking care of the battery swap. We're going from nasty old 12 volt lead acid batteries to a lovely new 51.2 volt 105 amp hour lithium battery from the guys at Eco Battery. Plan is to pull the old 12 volts out, put the new lithium in, and get the voltage reducer, the charger, and a power distribution block mounted up. We're also going to be doing a swap out for the battery tray. The EasyGo RXV comes with either a plastic or a metal tray. Mine has a plastic tray. But we're going to be taking that out and putting in a new metal tray, again from Eco Battery. There's not too much information out there about the swap over for this particular battery tray, so hopefully if any of you are thinking about making this change, you'll find this useful. So, if you'll forgive the pun, let's get the lead out. So this is where we're at with the batteries removed. Battery tray empty. I forgot to actually film taking off the tie down straps. That's what's left of those. Not in fantastic shape, especially this one. But there it was. And obviously with the body completely off, taking the batteries out was a piece of cake. So now we've just got to figure out taking this factory plastic tray out, which is bolted at the sides and a couple at the front. You can kind of see just down there. So we have to just move the factory wiring harness out the way a little bit, and hopefully just pull those out and we'll be good to go. Okay, so what we have is two 15mm bolts at the front, one here and one here. And on each side we have a T45 Torx. So there's one down there, one over here. Should release the tray. There we go. This whole thing comes out. There's one unit. So when the factory battery tray is out, that's what it looks like. And the mounting points were one there, two at the front there, and one on the other side. Now this is the replacement of the tray, so it's metal frame. Again, you can see it has the side mounts, and then the two mounts that go to the front. It comes with this cover tray that goes in, stop anything splashing up from underneath. And I've decided I'm going to stiffen that up with some plywood. Cut this piece of plywood to size, and what I plan on doing is spraying it with truck bed liner so it's nice and waterproof, and that will drop into the tray and the cover will go over the top. So what I'm going to do now is just dry fit this, see how well it mounts up to the mounting holes. I will take this with the here with the two holes in it towards the front. Make sure that we're not catching any of our wiring. It should. Sit right down on the original mounting points. Then what I'm going to do is put the piece of plywood in. That's going to allow me to mount the batteries and the other electrics. Okay, so to do a little side by side, or I guess back to back, if you like, comparison, this is the old plastic battery tray. And like I said, it had a Torx in there, one on that side, and then two 15mm bolts on the front. And they sat into the post on either side of the frame, and two bolt holes along the front just behind where the body sits. So the new battery tray utilizes exactly the same mounts. And the reason for the plywood base is mainly to give options, because hopefully you can just see there's a couple of threaded inserts on either side of the center bar, and those threaded inserts are designed to take the hold down bar that you use with the Eco through hole battery. And speaking of batteries, there it is. So it's the 51.2 volt 105 amp hour lithium. They call it the through hole design because there's actually a hole going right through the center of the battery, and a post goes down through there with a hole down on the top, and that's the post that would screw into one of these threaded inserts. So to give you kind of the full idea, as I said, there's 4 of those threaded inserts, and this is the hole for the hold down, and you can thread that into any one of those threaded inserts, and depending on which one you put it in, that would dictate where the battery sits in this tray. As the other end of this basically just drops through the hole in the battery like that. There's a cover over the top and secures it down. Now, my idea, rather than rely on those holes and be restricted where I position the battery, is to use the piece of plywood. The piece of plywood will bolt down to the tray itself. So if I can lift that out, because all the way around the edge of the tray there are holes that you can use to screws or nuts and bolts through. That way I can decide exactly where I want to put the battery, and if I want it to be in this back corner, for example, I'll just put the battery there and drill through the plywood, put a big nut and washer underneath, and it should be solid as a rock. And so I can kind of figure out where I want to put things and actually fit a lot of this board and make the mounts on it outside of the car. I made a little cardboard cutout of the battery. So that is exact same size and shape as the battery. It has the little markers for the connector lugs and the hole. So now I can kind of position that wherever I want to, and wherever that center hole is, that's where I would drill through the ply to mount underneath. And I know where my positive and negative terminals are, so I can figure out if I've got long enough battery leads to get back to the motor controller. And of course, once all that's mounted, over this side and somewhere in here is going to be the onboard charger and the 12 volt reducer and a main fuse block. Okay, so we have some work done off camera in terms of laying out the components on the board, and this is where I've got to. So I've decided actually not to put the plastic cover on because it doesn't really add anything, and it kind of makes the surface of the plywood board a little uneven. But none of this is hooked up yet, it's just mounted. So we have the voltage reducer, that's going to feed into the fuse block. And then right at the front we have the onboard charger and battery itself. Now the battery isn't mounted either, it's just sat in the tray at the moment. And the cables we have, that's the charge cable that will get hooked up to the battery. Then we have the charge port cable. Then we have the communication cable for the meter. But what I have done is I've hooked up the main positive and negative with the other black lead that was on the positive, not sure where that goes, but into the loom somewhere. And then the main positive. And the thing with the RXV that you have to remember, this blue wire here originally connects to the charging port, and it's an interlock, so it's supposed to prevent the cart from being able to be driven away while a charging cable is plugged in. Then over on this side, see we have the main positive and negative coming round. Positive going through to the coil, negative going on to the controller. And then just the run tow switch and all of that sort of good stuff. So, smoke test time. Just to see if this thing blows up when we turn it on. So, the beauty of lithium batteries obviously is an on and off switch, so you can do all of your wiring with the battery powered off. So we have a green light there, that's a good sign. Then onto the run tow switch, which is currently in tow. Switch that to run. No signs of any smoke or fire or explosions of any sort yet. Another good sign. Last but not least, we will grab the key in, and the first indicator is going to be the click from the solenoid and the reverse buzzer going on. Success. Neutral. Nothing on fire. So we'll put it into forward. And I don't recommend you do this, but anyway, to test it. A little bit of gas. Oh, and we have the solenoid click and movement. To reverse. Solenoid click and movement. And the brake interlock. When we take it, turn it off. And again, no smoke, no flames, no me running down the street with my hair on fire, which are all good things. One more quick little test. I've now hooked up the charging cables. So we've got the red and the black charging cables, and I've hooked up the communication port and just roughed the wire up to the front with the meter. Ta-da! Excellent. I did charge the battery up to full before I did this part of the install, which is why it's reading 100%. When it came from the factory, it was at, I want to say, about 60, 70 maybe. Yeah, 53.3 volts, 100%. 0 amp draw at the moment. All good. Okay, so now we can get to see the battery install and the electrics in all its glory. The eco battery, that's connected to the onboard charger and also connected to the 48 to 12 voltage reducer, and that goes into its fuse block. Wiring is now pretty much buttoned up. We have negative, and coming from the negative we have the main battery cable, and the other cables are feed into the controller, and two negatives. One negative feeds back to the voltage reducer, and the other one feeds directly into the fuse block. Red wire is the positive out, and on the positive side of the battery, that yellow wire is what connects to the voltage reducer, and obviously the thick one is the battery cable, and the blue one is the interlock switch, and then the last one there is the battery charger. The new onboard charger will feed through this cable, and that plug there will eventually plug into the port that will be mounted on the front of the body, same as it was from the factory. From the voltage reducer, there's two other wires. There's a blue one, which is there. That's a constant 12-volt feed. That's going to go up to the dash to feed the new stereo that's going in, so we can keep radio memories and time on the clock and all that kind of good stuff. And if you can just see there's a green wire, and that green wire feeds through the loom, and the other end of that loom, that's the green wire, and it follows all the way through, and it attaches to the bar, the bus bar on the solenoid. And what that green wire does is actually a cutoff for the voltage reducer, so that when you cut power from the on and off switch on the car, it cuts power to the voltage reducer, so it's not running off the battery all the time. And normally that green wire would go to the key switch, which is up there. However, on the RXV, you don't do that. You attach it to the solenoid, so it still gives it switched power, but it doesn't mess up your motor controller, which is a bad thing. Okay, so now we're going to do our last couple of tests, mainly to verify the voltage reducer is working the way it should. So at the moment we have the battery turned on, we have the run tow switch in run, and we have the key in the off position. And that means that our distribution block, our fuses, should be dead. So we're just going to check for 12 volts on the meter. So that's reading 0. That's good. So now we'll turn the key switch to the neutral position. Now we should have 12 volt power at our distribution block. There we go, 12.95. So that's it for our battery swap. I've got to say the Eco battery system, this kit that you get, is absolutely excellent. Looking forward to see how much more power we have when we can start running this thing. One thing to note, I did actually switch out the factory battery cables for heavier gauge cables. Not sure if it'll make much difference, but while you're in here doing it, why not? Electrical done, and it works. Oh, and for the sharp-eyed of you, you might notice I actually had to do some work on the rear end of the car. While I was doing it, I had the rear wheels off, so I thought, oh, what the hell, let's go put the new wheels and tyres on, which I think look pretty sharp, but that's a video for another day. Okay, so that's the battery swap done. Hopefully you found that useful. I will put links to the Eco Battery website, to their YouTube channel and their Facebook page down in the description if you want to check them out. Next time out, we're actually going to start doing some reconstruction. Maybe build the body, or put some of the parts together, maybe put the dash together, not sure. But if you want to see what happens, stay tuned. And until then, cheers.